Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade, and today we're going to be taking a look at a wave pattern short here on gold. Hang on a second, my orders are all over the place here. 96.9 will be the first target. Second target's going to be down back at the lows. Now this is kind of the same problem that we saw yesterday. On the way down here, we have some other areas kind of ahead of us. So we can't really use that 96.9 level just because we have that dashed line right ahead of that. So we're going to have to use that as our first target, unfortunately. So our first target's going to be 12 ticks, still not too bad. It's still bigger than our stop, so that's not that bad at all. And then at the lows, can't really go for 94.4 either because we got the low of day there. So we've got to take our profit ahead of that low of day. The low of day at 94.6, we'll go 94.7. The final target, we finally don't have any other areas of support or resistance ahead of that one, so we'll just go to 92.2 and look for a little bit of a move down there. So this wave pattern, it's set up with kind of a double tap of that level. We initially started our move down here, and you can see we've been kind of choppy. We've been rotating back and forth all day on gold. It kind of came off the lows, pushed up to the highs, failed at the highs, came back down to the lows. And the part that really kind of piqued my interest here is this is going into a 4-5-6 continuation pattern that's pretty wide. And more so than that, it actually came back, tested this area once, fell off, and now we're right back at that level again. So I'm expecting the same reaction to fail back off. And another thing, we initially pushed into that high, fell out of it the first time. That was a little early. I didn't quite like that one. We double tapped it, came right back to that level, and then bounced straight back out again. That's why I'm taking that short right here. Now, again, our first target is just ahead of that initial target down here at 96.9, just because we have that level at 97.3 we have to be careful of. So first target's at 97.4. If we can get that one filled, we're looking at 12 ticks on the first contract. We're taking 2 contracts off there. Second target's just ahead of the low of day. That's going to be 39. And if it can fall with a nice little move lower, we finally have that last push down to 92.2 for potential 64 ticks if it really wants to go there. So we've came down, we've tested our first target. It actually didn't fill us. So stop still stays in place. We're just looking for a little bit more kind of continuation. Now, looking at this trade here, because of that double tap, if we do get that first target filled here in a little bit, I don't necessarily know if I want to put my stop to break even. The reason behind that is usually with these double taps, they're going to come back and revisit that area again, but they typically never break that overall high. Now our stop is just above that little minor swing high. So what we may end up doing, just to be a little bit more conservative, is when we get that target filled, we'll leave our stop where it is. If it comes back on us, then so be it. Then we lose 10 ticks on 2 more contracts. We end up on the day 4 ticks. So it would be kind of a bummer if it does come back, but we'd still end up profitable on the position. And moreover, I'm expecting it to come back to that area. So I do want to be a little bit more conservative and keep my stop where it is. Once we start breaking down and we break this low down here, then I can look to move my stop to break even, because that's showing the final conviction from those sellers to come into the market. So right now, just kind of waiting to get that first target filled. We're kind of flirting around with it, but haven't filled it yet. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if we can start getting that filled. And then hopefully a drop back into the next targets down there. So we'll be back. All right, I just wanted to do a quick update. It's been a little while here. It's about 20 minutes. We came back and we're testing our entry area, and this is the area that I was concerned about. Our stop is still up at the highs. We got the 2 contracts off down here. All that's hunky-dory, but this is the area that I'm really concerned about now. We want to see this level hold. Typically what happens, and we've seen this a million times before, and I'm sure we've experienced it a million times before, it hits us out of break even and then dumps, right? That's how it always goes. So that's what I'm kind of looking for here. If we start getting conviction through that level, then this may just be a reversal. That's all the lower it's going to go, and it'll just keep going right back up to the upside and keep rotating back and forth like we've been seeing all day. But this is kind of the hot zone right now, so I'm keeping an eye. You can see it is rejecting a little bit, but it's still kind of messing around with that area. So just want to do a quick update here, a little bit of an area of interest. If this does hold, I honestly wouldn't blame anybody for wanting to add on a couple more contracts below this 97.9. Just sell a couple more. It is aggressive because, again, you do have that dotted line, but if we hold that area, you're not expecting to come back at all. So you can use a relatively small stop and gun for that bigger target down there. But I'll leave my trade as is, and we'll see if it wants to hold here. But just a quick update. We'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we're back. Just had a massive move, came right off of that little level. So again, really glad that we didn't move our stop there. That would have been not the best place in the world. And that's kind of what we are expecting. When it gets choppy up here in the entry, it shouldn't come back to those highs, but you are expecting it to get a little whippy here. If you did take your target here and got stopped at a break even, then you still made a decent trade. But again, you missed this big move down here. Now this move down here that you're seeing, if you look at the timestamps below, 10:04:26, 32, 35, 35, 35, this all happened within like 3 seconds. Really, really aggressive drop lower there. So we got our target fill down there. It gave us a decent fill, even with that little bit of a slide off there. So we got filled at 0.4 instead. So we did actually get that target that we were looking for at 0.4. So instead of 39, let's bump this down a little bit here. That gave us 42. Now, again, that's just because it slid off so aggressively that's kind of where our fill happened. So let's get our stop in place here, and we'll be a little bit more aggressive. With that slide off, the last thing that I want to see is for this to come straight back up again. So I'm going to be a little aggressive and lock in my stop into a profitable position now that we've got that second target. And now we're just looking for a continuation back down to the downside. See if we can get this extended move lower, get this 1192.2. If you've got more contracts, you could look at 89.7. That would be the next level that you'd be looking for. I've only got one left, so I'll be looking at 92.2. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if it can start falling back down again. All right, we're getting a nice push to the downside here. Again, I'm going to keep locking my stop in as aggressively as I can, but we are coming into our target down there at 92.2. This is kind of the area, and we came one tick away. Oh, no, there we go. I was going to move my stop a little bit tighter there to tighten it up, but we got that target filled down there at 92.2. Beautiful move to the downside. Had to be a little bit conservative, with that initial entry there, with that double tap, had to be a little bit careful and potentially give all of that profit back, save, I think it was 4 ticks. So definitely took a little bit of a risk on that entry there. I wouldn't have blamed anybody for just getting out at break even. But once we got that fall down, it just filled us beautifully all the way down here. So really nice trade to the short side. And you could easily have added a couple times. We talked about an add-on back here when it retested that break even point. You do have another wave pattern here, another one here. Got all kinds of different options to the downside, but that's going to be the trade for me. 130 ticks based on that little slide off, giving us a better fill. That's going to be, the trade. Beautiful trade to the downside. Excellent example of a wave pattern as well. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.